Hi Rachel, thank you for taking our interview.
Hello, everyone.
Our first question is why did you choose Malta among all these options?
When deciding to immigrate, I had many options swirling in my mind. However, one thing I was certain about was that all four members of my family needed to obtain permanent residency together. I didn't want to leave anyone behind. Additionally, I was keen on selecting a country where English is the official language. One crucial factor is no residency requirement. As a primary applicant, meeting such a requirement would be challenging for me, given that my job is based in China. The final consideration is my personal preference. I just like the beach, the sunshine, warm place. I don't like places covered with ice and snow. All in all, I chose Malta.
Your two daughters have been studying in Malta for a while, so how do you feel like the local education? Because many people could understand that you live in a big city like Shanghai, but you want your children to study on a small island country like Malta.
I think it's just a choice, and there's no absolute right or wrong. The facilities in Maltese schools aren't as modern as those in Shanghai because the buildings in Malta are quite historic, some even resembling castles. In contrast, Shanghai's infrastructure is very modern and tech-savvy. However, what I value more is the human environment, teacher-student ratio, and the educational atmosphere and teaching methods. Maltese teachers tend to encourage students and foster open-minded thinking, which is how they nurture the kids. With 19 students in a class and 3 teachers, I'm very happy with the teacher-student ratio. It allows each teacher to understand the characteristics of every child, which is quite humanistic. I remember back in China, teachers would arrange all sorts of homework and tasks in various groups, which often gave me a headache. But in Malta, there's none of that. Our communication with teachers is either through email or little notes. During parent-teaching meetings, teachers communicate with each parent individually, rather than discussing a child's grades in a public setting. I think this approach is very respectful of children's privacy. In fact, no matter which country you send your child to study in, you will face the question of what kind of education you want for them. You can't have it all. That's unrealistic. We need to make the best choice for our children based on our own circumstances. I feel that Malta meets my expectation.
How does your daughters go through the stage of adapting to studying Malta from China?
This is going to be a process of adjustment, even for us adults. Moving from a familiar environment to an unfamiliar one takes some time. My elder daughter is at the Edwards International School and thinks her English is quite good. She's doing fine in class now. The part that needs adjustment is the teaching method. Because IB curriculum requires you have comprehensive skills and self-management awareness, teachers won't be constantly monitoring you. You have to take the initiative to approach them and tell them what you want to learn. My younger daughter went straight to the local public elementary school in Malta. Her English isn't as good as her sister, so when we arrived in Malta last July, we enrolled her in a public summer school. We didn't demand she must have learned well. It was more about being able to communicate with her classmates and teachers there, even if it's through somewhat clumsy communication or body language. At least she can feel comfortable and not dislike the environment and be able to play with her classmates. I think in this process, parents need to give the children some time, be more tolerant and encouraging. Let them find their own rhythm in social interactions and learning in the new environment. All we can do is give them a hug and believe them.
Okay, regarding the immigration process in Malta, do you have any experiences to share with our audience?
The whole process was quite fortunate. I remember making the decision in April 2022, then signing the contract with Globevisa in May, submitting the first set of documents in June, and receiving the initial approval in November. Then we made donations and rented a house, and by March we got the final approval and arrived in Malta in July. The whole process was orderly, partly because we managed the project well and partly because our cooperation with Globevisa was really good. We were actually very lucky to choose the professional team of Globevisa, who provided us with the most professional service. As a big platform, you handle many cases and your experience is very rich, which can give us good guidance.
What's different about living in Malta compared to living in China?
When we arrived in Malta with our family of 4 in July last year, and when we got to our rented house, we was like, wow, it was particularly comfortable facing the sea view. The sea is really beautiful. I can give some advice on renting a house. At that time, we thought it should be close to my daughter's school and it should have a sea view. The rental was also arranged through Globevisa. And we should have a look at more than 30 houses because the rental market in Malta is very hot, and some are rented out immediately after you see them. So if you know what you want, you should act quickly. Our neighbors are very kind and simple and very friendly. I usually work in Shanghai and commuting takes more than an hour. In Malta, an hour can cover the whole island. However, because it is an island, resources are limited. And the price of daily necessities and stationery are really much higher than in China. But I think the cost of education there is much cheaper than in China. For example, in public schools, we are not paid tuition fees, and they organized some activities, each activity costing 1 or 2 euros. In addition, the government provides them with iPad for study, which are free. School buses are also free, and children at the junior high level and below, if your home is more than 1 kilometer away from the school, you can apply for a free bus. The fees of private school are not particularly expensive either. For example, my elder daughter's tuition fee is 10,000 euros a year, which is equivalent to less than 80,000 RMB, and it's a huge difference compared to the international school in Shanghai.
So, how did you choose Globevisa to help you with immigration?
At that time, we selected 2 companies online, first comparing the prices on both sides, and secondly, the professionalism. We hope to choose a larger company to support our family because you have handled many cases and have enough experience, so you can help us avoid many risks in advance. Then the consultants is very important. Globevisa's consultants can give me a lot of very constructive suggestions and recommendations, such as the document preparation, family planning. So on this point, we chose the Globevisa.
Thank you, Rachel. Thank you for your time.
You're welcome. Hope this will help people who want to move to Malta.